Welcome to the Tech Valley Game Spaces Game Club. We're talking about The Sims 3, which was released in 2009. Came out on a bunch of different platforms, so if anyone has any different platforms they've tried it on, I know there's a mobile version, but I don't have that, so... Anyway, this series is pretty popular, probably one of the most popular, so I just wanted to talk about for a minute how well, last time I did a game club I was talking about Spore, which was pretty much Will Wright's last game, and this was probably the game that he's become most famous for. Even though SimCity was kind of the genesis of everything, I feel like this game is definitely very popular among especially casual players. But I was playing back in the old days, around 2000 when the original came out, so this Sims 3 I didn't get into right away, but I just wanted to let you know when I heard about it was right after it came out. Somebody did a blog called Kevin Alice, and basically the way people played this game sometimes, they would do these poor challenges or like homeless challenges where you wouldn't have a house to start with and you have to try to survive.
Nice.
So this person did a blog right after the game came out where they created a dad and his young daughter, and he basically set up like a park area as their home. So they just had like a bench, they didn't have any money. And the blog became pretty popular. And that's what got me interested in the game, because after the original Sims, I hadn't really played The Sims 2. I had played some other spin-off games, but that blog became pretty popular because not just the things that The Sims would sort of do pretty much on their own, just through interacting, but because it was trying to raise awareness about homelessness and such. And the way the game The Sims 3 kind of lended itself to that type of story, given its more open world and the way The Sims had more autonomy to kind of go and do what they want to do. So I thought I would just throw that out there as, to me that was a big part of the game, but it was just how I got into it back in 2009, but I thought we'd go around and say our names and then say what our experiences are with The Sims and then this game in particular. If we just started playing it recently or if we played it back in the day. And go to Anthony.
I'm Anthony and I just started playing it recently. Next.
I'm Neil. I've been playing versions of The Sims since the original SimCity, and I have not played Sims 3 until recently.
I'm Robert. My first experience was also with SimCity, on the Super Nintendo, actually. I tried the first Sims out for a brief amount of time. I was a little more interested, I think, in what I could do with it. It was my first foray into 3D modeling. I modeled Morrigan from Darkstalkers and stuck her in my neighborhood. And I used the cheat for a lot of money, made a really big house, really cool, and then I just kind of drifted away because there was like no challenge. But now, about a week ago, I started with Sims 3 for the first time and played it normally and having a good time.
Did you say it was the PS3 version?
Yes, it is the PS3 version.
I'm Kat. I was always aware of SimCity, but I never really played it. The first Sims was definitely a big part of my childhood. I've got some very fond memories of me and like my closest buddies from like elementary school just sitting around and trying to build awesome gothic houses and create drama. Try to keep our kids from going to school. See if the Child Protective Services could actually walk through the wall. They can. But yeah, I love The Sims. I played Sims 2 a lot. Oddly enough, I think I used to like Sims 2 more than Sims 3, but now that I've revisited Sims 3, I think I've kind of decided it's probably my favorite out of all the ones I've played. Then again, it's been such a long time since I played 2, and God knows I have not touched the first Sims in ages. So, but yeah, no, it was really great actually revisiting this game and playing it again. And I'm afraid I might be ruined. But it's all good.
Well, the first Sims, it was limited by technology to some extent. You had at first you could just have your own house, and you couldn't really go anywhere, and your Sim would go, but you wouldn't see where they were going. It was a more 2D world with 3D people inside of it. I guess some of the hard parts about going back to the original game was that it's very micromanaging, that the AI wasn't very good and you had to do things a whole lot, so you had very little time to do anything fun, so to speak, because you're constantly eating, sleeping, going to the bathroom, all that stuff. And I think over the Sims generations, they've kind of backed away from just the one house focus and the taking care of your most basic needs focus, and they've gotten more into a little bit more complicated stuff that goes outside of your own house, or just goes beyond just building and buying stuff. So what did you think of the different tools that the game has, like the sim creation and the house creation? Did you try out any of the creating tools?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I made a family. The first time I played, I just made one character and tried to live alone, and it was hard to keep up with hygiene and hunger and all that, and do all the stuff you want to do. It was hard to have a garden and a job, so I quit the job and tried to just be a farmer. So I ended up trying to play Harvest Moon, basically.
No shame in that.
No, I like Harvest Moon.
I've been using the house building equipment, and I went for the cheapest foundation, and then found you couldn't build, for example, a roof on top of a platform. So I ended up with a lot of platform floor and and ran out of money and then didn't have roofs and enjoyed the season changing and got sick a lot from being exposed to the
Elements, yeah.
winter.
Hypothermia, yay!
I started a new game after I figured out that I needed a foundation made of bricks.
Do you need a foundation to build houses, though? I've always just taken the wall tool and laid stuff down wherever. And then you just slap some floor tiles on the ground and you're good to go.
I haven't used the house creations so much right now. I'm still trying to build up a lot of money so that I can build my really cool mansion or whatnot. So I'm still living in the same tiny house in Aaron Road or whatever it's called.
With the flamingos out front?
I don't recall any flamingos. It's near that little farmhouse. It's kind of like near the center of the map. And it was like the cheapest thing that you could get. And aside from maybe changing the different things that are inside the house, like upgrading the counters or the showers or whatnot, I haven't explored building different walls and adding more rooms or anything. I haven't even put curtains up. I didn't even realize that until I was 6 in-game weeks in that I could put curtains up. But I did spend a lot of time in the character creator. My first go at it, I actually started last Saturday very briefly, but mostly Sunday. I created a family, 2-person household. The guy I kind of modeled after me, writer, perfectionist, things like that. Younger, he had hair. Kind of like my 20-year-old self, except without the white stripe. And the girl was just a generic girl. And it was difficult to play as the two people because they were both waking up and sleeping at completely different times. When one wanted to get on the computer, the other wanted to get on the computer. I couldn't manage both people at the exact same time. So I kind of gave up and I started a brand new household with just the guy. And it's actually turning out a little bit easier. He's got a fairly good amount of money coming in despite not actually having a job.
He writes?
He writes.
Yeah, writing books in Sims 3 is actually so fun. I love the fact that you can title the novels.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to do. Then having one of your Sims do paintings.
Mine paints as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, the paintings are sweet.
Yeah, you can zoom in on all sorts of cool stuff and then ta-da! It's actually an opportunity to try and utilize a bit of an artist's eye yourself.
I like the street art feature. There's something in the inventory that has a bag of painting, a bag of spray paint or something like that, and then you can tag the buildings and some of the streets.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. I had no idea about that.
Yes, it raises your rebel standing the more you use it.
Is that Rebel, is that part of university life?
No, I haven't gotten into the university yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
Do you have additional expansions in your game?
Yeah. I have the university and the pets, but I haven't let my daughter graduate into university life yet.
Okay, so it was a feature that was added from installing university.
Yeah, one of the things, the expansion packs, they don't necessarily just add locations, they also add, features,
I see.
When you got university, I guess you kind of made it an option for anyone to be a rebel, or there are, 3 different types, I believe, at the university. There's, rebel, jock, and nerd? Something like that, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know, I never got that one, but... Yeah, I have seasons, pets, nightlife, Supernatural. I think like back in 2014 they were doing like a sale on Origin.com or whatever, and for like $40 I snagged all those expansion packs, and it was actually because dude, even after all this time they still price this stupid expansion packs at like $20.
Yep.
As much as the game itself. Like, it's mind-blowing to me. That's actually one thing I've always kind of hated about EA and The Sims, just how god-awful expensive the DLC is. Just
Yeah.
not shy about fleecing you, and it's just gross.
I played The Sims 1 and The Sims 2 a lot, and I had a stack of discs and cases for each one. So I put off buying Sims 3, and when I saw it on the Steam's offering, they had, I think, like 2 or 3 expansions plus the original game for $20, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is what I've been waiting for.
Exactly.
When I bought the original, I mean, I didn't want to talk about the whole expansion stuff because when I bought the original, I don't think I bought any expansions. I know there was a lot of modding community going on. I might have gotten some mods for free or something. Stuff people make on their own. And then eventually they released a disc set called The Sims Complete or something. It had everything from the first Sims in it. So I eventually bought that. I avoided buying The Sims 2 entirely because of all the expansions and stuff that they started releasing for it. And I just felt like I didn't want to get into a game that looked like it was going to be very expensive to experience everything, or I was worried they were taking stuff out of the main game. But eventually, I did buy The Sims 2 by itself, and I think on Origin they also, when they took The Sims 2 off of their storefront, they gave everyone who had owned The Sims 2, I think, I don't know if it was everyone who wanted it, but I know I got the complete Sims 2 as well.
I think that was part of their free thing that they do every once in a while. Because I think I got that as well.
Yeah, I have that too.
And that game is like gone from their store now, so it's not easy to get a hold of Sims 2 anymore. The Sims 3, I thought they were still selling it on Origin, but I think
Yeah, they are.
I
$4.
I think they're only selling the expansions now.
Really?
I think they're trying to steer people towards The Sims 4. Yeah, the expansions. The thing is, there's a lot of them, and I guess it depends on. Like, I don't necessarily think you need to buy all of them.
No.
Like, one of the complaints about The Sims 3 was that it had a long loading time because there was so much going on, and the game wouldn't run very smoothly because of all the things it was trying to do. So, like they don't. Even The Sims 3, I think, recommends that you don't try to run all the expansions at the same time.
I ignored that recommendation.
But I have bought The Sims 4, and they definitely pulled back from all the things The Sims 3 was trying to do because of like those problems it created with all the complexity and the open world nature of the game. But I wanted to talk about The Sims 3 instead because not only is it cheaper, and hopefully more people have played it, but I feel it's the more I don't know if you've gotten a chance to like explore the world more, but it just feels like the most complete world that they've ever made for The Sims in terms of having an open world game where there's a lot more complexity than just having your own house lot or something. Even if you don't have the expansions.
Yeah. I like that you can get a meal at a restaurant in town. It's just very natural.
I like that you can like walk across the street if you want, or just go running through the woods down to the beach if you want. You can just track your sim the whole way. Like back in the days of 1 and 2, you never got to see any of that. Everybody went from lot. Well, in the case of 1, people would just disappear off of your lot whenever they went somewhere. And in the case of 2, everybody just rode a taxi and from one lot to the next. So it's just how it went. People just showed up there. There was really no travel time or anything. But I did notice the loading times were painfully slow. I was thinking, I didn't remember it being this slow. And this was before I downloaded the expansion packs. Yesterday I downloaded just The Sims 3, no add-ons or anything. And it actually crashed on me when I tried to load it the first time. Like, you know that screen that shows up where you can click on things and you get like lifetime points or whatever for spotting stuff?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what did it in. Because I just hung at one point after clicking a bunch of things.
Yeah, the fact that, this series has moved in a direction of definitely adding a lot of expansion stuff. I mean, you could see it in the game. They even try to sell you stuff using their currency and stuff. And they hadn't quite gotten the whole installing of content. Like in The Sims 4, I think they did a better job of finally getting the online components and all that working better, but trying to download stuff from the website and then install it in your game, that whole interaction it's definitely there, but it was a little bit it's not the most seamless experience. It was kind of clunky. And the fact that the series has moved in that direction of the microtransactions or the expansions and all that. I don't know. It definitely it can be annoying, I guess, for some people, for a lot of people.
So you're saying in 4 there is more emphasis on like microtransactions and less on.
It's just easier to like you're talking about. Someone was talking about putting different Sims in different lots. In Sims 4, they just make it easier to download. Like they have an in-game search feature, and you can search for different Sims, download them, and put them in different lots. And you just have a lot more flexibility about downloading content and putting it into your game. But Sims 4 has limitations as well. They tried to make it just a more streamlined experience, but it doesn't have as much of the depth and open world nature that The Sims 3 has. So it hasn't been reviewed as well because it's a more, I guess you would say, a more shallow game, more casual.
Wow. Wow.
But The Sims 3 is usually held up as like one of the more deep games where you have a lot of like options of things to do.
Well, that's definitely true. There are a lot of things you can do. I mean, like, you could make one sim and just, like, I don't know, I've actually been thinking of doing this. I'm going to have, like, create an older sim. I'm going to put him in a little shack by the sea, and he's going to be a master fisherman. And that's it. No friends, no family, Just him and the fish. It's gonna be great.
Does anyone play? I'm guessing you told me you played without aging.
I turned the aging off from my solo playthrough.
Because aging, I don't think was part of the original game in the Sims 1 days. But
No, that's actually something I disliked a lot because, I don't know, I've always loved, like, raising families in The Sims. I don't know. All my friends like to set them on fire. I was just like, no. I want them all to go to school and be happy, get straight A's. But, yeah, no, I remember in Sims 1, I was always bothered by the fact that the kids could never grow up. It just got, it just wasn't very realistic and it was boring. And that's why I liked Sims 2, because finally everyone aged, And in a way, I don't know if I've really played Sims 3 long enough to establish a particularly ornate family tree or anything, but I love being able to do that, have the different legacies and stuff. You can make some pretty epic stories if you really want to.
In my first playthrough, I had the aging on, and this was the playthrough where it was me and the wife, and I couldn't make it as a writer because she was always hogging the computer all the time. So we both had to get jobs, and so much time is taken having to make dinner, go to the bathroom, shower, and especially sleep. And the fact that we both had jobs, we were barely ever around each other.
Yeah.
And one day, I think it's like 2 weeks into 2 weeks of in-game time is their birthdays. And the wife came home from work and my character was in bed sleeping. She didn't get a birthday cake, and I felt bad about that.
Oh.
And I said, I'm turning off aging for this next playthrough because I want to give them an opportunity to save up some money and build a better life before, you have to worry about things like coordinating times and making sure everybody's around. And
yeah.
I had my first playthrough. Well, I had a similar experience with you where I died tinkering with the stove a couple times, but after I reloaded an earlier save, I had the the life I imagined living for myself. I pretty much was by myself, and I just kept trying to improve my skills. So I would work on my computer skill or whatever it was, and then just trying to get better in my career. Then ended up my character eventually died, and I don't know if I ever got to the end of the career, but it just seemed like what did my Sims life mean? I was just trying to improve my career the whole time.
These lifetime aspirations and goals just seem unattainable to me because they age out before they're able to accomplish level 10 at anything.
I've actually been able to do that before. It's tough, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it is possible. I started a playthrough recently where I was going to become the leader of the free world.
Nice.
Which is a pretty hard thing to do, but I think I kind of like that. I guess one of the complaints about The Sims 4 is they made everything too easy. And the fact that your sim can dream of something as grandiose as being the president of the United States or something, which is probably one of the hardest things to accomplish, except for this year. And if you can imagine, there's tons of people who want to do that, and very few people who ever achieve it. So just the idea that your Sims have a goal doesn't mean they necessarily have to achieve it.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
And the thing is, you could change the age scale or turn it off, which I think is a cool way of playing too. You can play however you want to play. in some ways.
So the aging is actually something built into the game you can turn off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't know in
You can
Sims
alter
3.
very much.
And you can lengthen each stage.
Yeah. I didn't realize you could turn aging off completely in Sims 3. I remember in Sims 2 you could do that, but...
There's a checkbox in the option screen, at least for the PS3 version.
Oh, okay. I just remember I fiddled around with the age options. I extended them a bit because it's always so hard when you make a new family. Like, you have very little money, so you don't have much freedom to buy cool things or build crazy houses or anything neat like that. So, I mean, my plan of attack is usually get a couple people, have them live simply and work really hard, and by the time the second or third generation rolls around, live it up. But
They're all living on their ancestors' inheritance.
yes, yes, they are, and they keep the urns of and the little tombstones of their family members around, and ghosts come and bother them.
This is one of the things that when I was considering whether I choose this game or like SimCity. You can play The Sims as sort of like a god game, where you get everything you want, but this was always a game where like there was the possibility your character would die, or you didn't necessarily have money for all the cool stuff. So one of the reasons I chose this game was even though there are like cheats and there's ways of playing the more god game route where you can do anything you want.
Proper testing sheets enabled. Sorry.
I think it's almost like, I guess to me the point of it is to try to live like a more realistic life to some extent. So you don't have to play that way, but there's so many games that give you the power trip fantasy of being rich already, or money coming easy, or you just commit crime. I don't know. You can commit crime in this game too to get money, but that's why I mentioned like the idea of somebody. It was really popular at the time to have this story they were telling of a homeless family. To me, it seemed pretty cool, just the way they survived, and the way they reacted emotionally and such. Just the things the characters did was interesting, and that was something you didn't normally see in a lot of games because I guess there's not a lot of games that will tell stories about like the more mundane or difficult parts of life, like the less fun stuff you have to do, and like things breaking, and people dying, or people fighting, all that stuff that. I mean, some of it can be dramatic, but.
Well, I mean, I don't really play it to have my Sims get rich either, but I actually I'm glad you picked this game, because sitting down with it, like making the family that I made, I was like thinking about it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have like two brothers, and one's gonna be like the family guy, but the other guy's gonna be the one with like career aspirations. And I was just having so much fun thinking like what they would look like, what their names should be, and I forgot how much I like kind of building stories, sort of. It really is so delightful.
I mean, that's what I mean, like my first playthrough, I was like trying to get rich, like focusing on the career stuff and upgrading the house and all that. And I don't know if I ever achieved that final goal, the ultimate level 10 or whatever.
Life aspiration.
I don't know if I ever achieved that, but I still felt like I wanted to play through again differently, because just doing that, like just trying to have the best stuff and have happiness through a nice house didn't really seem like the only way to play. I mean, I want to try something differently. Which is kind of ironic, because I just bought a house and I'm buying lots of nice stuff.
Congrats.
So I'm doing it all wrong.
Oh man, you don't need nobody needs a house or nice stuff. I mean, nice to have, but yeah, I guess you like your default mode for playing with The Sims is like put them on the career path and have them achieve. Like for me, it was always give them a good career, but also I was always about like having them get hitched and raising families, and not even necessarily big families, but there's always like some kid to carry on the legacy, you know?
My sim is pretty realistic to how it was for me, essentially, if I was living alone before I got my job. He basically did all the mundane things that I had done. I sat on the computer trying to write until I got stressed out, and then I played video games to raise my fun factor.
Yep.
And then it was eating, sleeping, showering, repeating. He never left the house unless there was some kind of wish that it was like, your sim wishes to go to the library or something like that. And it's like, okay, now I'll go out of the house. And, you know, for my single playthrough, since he didn't have a wife that was given to him at the start of the game, I was looking for something like that. So I'm in the library, and I see this one girl, and she's got kind of a gothic schoolgirl look to her. Her name was Willow. I go over and I start talking to Willow, and I get to know her, and she's a snob. And I'm like, okay, I don't think this is the right one for me. So then I see this blonde over in the area, and I go over and I talk to her, and her name was Hannelore Landgrab, who happens to be very rich, and also a snob.
Yeah, a lot of those.
So I said, okay. So at some point, I run into a girl named Aaliyah, and she seemed kind of nice. And I'm back at my house at one point, and it's discovered that Aaliyah lives literally right next door to me.
Oh.
And I thought, how like fitting is this? I mean, you know, I've always liked girl next door type, but I got this entire sim village, and I end up with the girl next door, literally. But that didn't end up happening because I started trying to work towards it, and I noticed eventually the romance option was no longer available for her. And apparently, once you've known a sim long enough, they're old friends, and you cannot romance old friends.
Really?
Yeah, so we could just throw out the idea of like getting to know somebody completely before, you know, trying to romance them. You have to like try to do that before you get to know them too well. So I did not end up with her. I actually am dating a cop who came to my house and attempted to bust a burglar when my burglar alarm went off. Attempted because he got away. But I started talking to her, so.
And repair ladies, pizza delivery people, good ways sometimes to get your Sims hooked up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the like I said, I've got two brothers right now. The one I'm just having this one guy focus on his career, and he's super ambitious and everything. I plan on having him like make all the big bucks, and his brother is going to be the one that, you know, settles down and gets a girlfriend, I think, and has a bunch of kids. Their last name is Day, so I want him to find someone and like get married to them, and I want him to have like his lifetime fulfillment means like he has to raise 5 kids. I just want him to have 5 kids. I'm gonna name them Rainy, Cloudy, Windy, Sunny, and then like Misty. And I will be very happy. And from then on out, I don't know. The kids can do whatever they want. There'll be plenty to play with, but that's the plan right now. I've got the start of the family tree. And then the more people that are added on, the more branches that come off of it, the more chances I'll have to explore other like different lifestyles and types of play. But yeah.
I did end up fulfilling my lifetime wish.
Really?
Yes. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was something like earn this much royalty on a book or something like that.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I think I've earned that one before, too. It's actually not too difficult if you kind of construct your sim from the get-go with, like I don't know, like, if they're already like creatively inclined or whatever, and kind of like shy and reclusive, like it'll naturally lend to themselves writing a lot. So
Yeah, so that's what I ended up doing, just writing a lot, and I managed to get my wish, so that's good. So now I'm just trying to have an income of books just coming in so that I don't have to send my sim off for 8 hours a day and not be able to control him.
yeah, the expansion Ambitions is actually kind of good for that. You get a little more leeway. You can control your sim a bit more. Like, there are options. Like, when you go to work, you can either, like, work hard, slack off, suck up to the boss, hang out with your coworkers. Like, there are different options depending on what job you have and what level you're at with that career or profession. But I do recommend that. It's pretty neat. And also you can like achieve like these little like quest things outside of your regular. I don't remember if that was standard with the original Sims. Could people like give you cooking challenges and stuff like minus the expansion packs?
I've actually got one of those. I got a call from somebody saying, bring me a perfect dish.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So that's not a part of Ambitions, right? Okay.
And I've been collecting weird stones from lawn and seeds.
Oh, cool.
I wanted to mention something else about the relationships. That ever since the original game, Sims are pretty much bisexual by nature, I guess. That they weren't necessarily attracted to one gender or the other. It was pretty much just dependent on how you play the game.
Mm-hmm.
The Sims 3, I think, was the one that added the possibility to marry somebody of the same gender.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a little bit of a big deal at the time, because I think that was before it became like a national thing. It was still kind of a hot button issue.
I think you're right.
But I just think it's interesting that they kind of leave it they leave it up to the player or just whatever happens in the game. Whereas in reality, I think people are generally a little bit less fluid about their sexuality than Sims, but I don't know. I think they tried to make it more malleable in real life so that it wouldn't be as restrictive, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I play The Sims so I can play stories, and sometimes that means having a lot of options open, So, I don't know. I don't know why, you guys would actually... Something that's kind of strange to me, like creating yourself as a character in the game. I've never thought... I might have thought to do that once, or I might have created a sim based off of me a little bit when I was younger, but I've always preferred to make total strangers and just imagine them from the ground up. I'd feel weird trying to I don't know, accurately recreate myself in the game and try to live my ideal life, because I know it wouldn't.
It's even weirder when you create yourself and your partner, and then you try to recreate the relationship in game.
Oh God!
Yeah, it doesn't always work.
No.
I have a couple living together in the Sims 3 that I'm working with now, and it's intentionally me and my daughter, and we can't interact enough to become friends.
Really?
I have to think it's a flaw with the game. It's just too difficult for me to spend enough time with these two characters interacting to even get halfway to friendship.
Does it not allow the option to come up?
They just don't like each other enough.
Jeez,
Yeah.
that's depressing.
That is very depressing, that's right.
But I mean, that's also kind of like life in a way. Sometimes parents and their kids don't get along.
I wondered if.
But I don't like seeing it play out in front of me when I'm trying to change it to something I want.
And when it's supposed to represent you and your daughter, it's
That's
like,
right.
no,
A
you're getting it
little
wrong.
too close to simulation.
Yeah.
I wondered if it was just like something that they built in not to allow that type of option. Because I noticed one day I went out to get rid of an expiring paper, as you know how it turns brown
Yeah.
because it's been out there a
Right.
day.
Yeah.
I go out to get rid of it as the paper girl is showing up at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I start talking to the paper girl.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't give you much options as far as like trying to be friendly with the paper girl.
Yeah, like with certain characters, like depending on if they're on the job or not, like your interactions are more limited, I've noticed.
Yeah, I figured it's because they're a schoolgirl and they don't want an adult character to be
Yes.
friendly with a schoolgirl. But I found it ironic that you can't have friendly conversation with the schoolgirl, but you can invite her into your house and call her on the phone.
That is a little creepy. I mean,
Well, it may be that these characters are just constructed in a way that they're like more competitive than they are compatible. For example, we're both in real life Aries, and Aries tend to be combative. So,
I wouldn't know about that. I just know I'm a Capricorn and I never fit the description. Capricorns are supposed to be ambitious and business-minded and serious, and I'm like, nope, I'm off doing my own thing.
I fit my Cancer pretty well.
What's Cancer supposed to be?
Um,
I mean, other than the disease that kills you.
no, it's nurturing. It's
nurturing, emotional,
Oh, okay. Cool.
ruled by the moon.
It's pretty rad.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know if it was easier or harder. I don't think it was necessarily too hard to get people to be friends, but sometimes in the old games, the requirements, you needed a lot of friends in order to get something, or they had very strict requirements, whereas I feel like in this game they relaxed they didn't make it as ridiculous to achieve some goals. It's definitely, especially if your sim is like kind of a loner type, or it's just not very social. You could definitely choose to create a sim that's more social and like throw parties and stuff to try to get more friends. But yeah, there's people have their own lives. So, and in some way, I feel like it's kind of like real life in some ways, where you want to do a lot of stuff, but it's more complicated because the other people have their own lives, and you got all this other stuff to do, and you don't have time. So, I don't know. It's not the most. It's not the type of game where it's not a wish fulfillment game necessarily, unless you like cheat and give yourself like lots of bonuses. But
If anything, I feel like it's almost the opposite to the fact where it can actually point out how much your life just passes by simply by doing things like showering and sleeping and eating and all that type of stuff. It's like a small percentage of your actual sim day is spent actually being able to do stuff that you'd like to do. And it's, if you compare that to actual real life, I mean, how much of our life do we waste away, sleeping or working or doing any of these other things?
one of the things I did was one of the things I usually do early on is try to upgrade my bed. So I get a good job and I try to do well in the job so I can upgrade my bed and then I can sleep less. So the whole idea of just trying to have more time. And again, that's something that I think if you turn the aging off, you kind of miss that a little bit, because then there's really no time doesn't become as relevant. It just becomes your own personal time that you're wasting potentially. But in terms of your Sims time left in the game before they expire.
Well, that actually brings up a funny story because Tuesday night I'm playing the game and it's getting late and I want to finish the book that he's writing in the game. So the avatar of me is sitting at his computer and he's writing this book and it's getting really late and he's getting really tired, he's getting fatigued and he needs to go to bed. And time is passing and time is passing. Eventually he manages to finish the book and get to bed and get some sleep. And I look at my clock and it's after 2 a.m. And I said, how meta is this?
Right.
He's waiting for his book to get to sleep and I'm waiting for him to finish his book so I can get to sleep.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
Which is why I was so tired on this day.
And I ended up staying up pretty late last night playing this.
As did I, actually. I was up to like 2:30.
I wasn't up that late. I gotta get up at like 6, but it was nice.
Can you cancel your newspaper subscription in the game?
That would be nice.
Oh, really?
If you call services at the top of the list, it says the newspaper service. You can
Okay.
cancel it or restart it.
Yeah, because I had a hard time keeping up with throwing those away.
Yeah.
They pile up in my front yard.
Then eventually they'll stop delivering them because there's so many
Really?
Oh,
rotten
yeah.
papers in your
Oh.
house.
There goes the rude newspaper girl. Won't talk to me.
In The Sims, I don't want to talk too much about The Sims 4, but yeah, I think in that game you can form relationships with people that are, I don't know if there's like townies or, I think you could potentially form relationships with anyone in this game as well.
Mhm.
I haven't done it as much in The Sims 3.
Mhm.
In The Sims 4, you still have that sense of there's people walking around and such, but it's not as much of an open world where I don't know, you can literally walk across the world
Yeah.
or just walk into somebody's house without a loading screen.
Yeah, I actually forgot how cool that is. I really like it. I like being able to scroll over the beach and just tell one of my guys, just go swimming in the ocean. Fill that requirement. Just go. Do it.
There was a moment when I was playing last night, and it was nighttime in the game, and I'm sitting there at my computer, and I'm writing a book, and I look out the window, and I see the house across the street, and I can kind of see in the window somebody's in their bed and they're sleeping. And I was like, this is like serene. It's just like you're looking out at the town doing its thing at night. And it was just, I thought that was really cool. It's like, wow, I've never had that kind of experience in a game where you're just kind of, watching.
Everything go by.
Yeah.
I've had that sometimes in games, but it's a cool feeling.
There's
Feeling
also,
that, yeah, well,
there's
sorry.
there is an automation type of slider where you can basically choose how much free will your Sims have, and I think that's been part of The Sims for a long time, but I know some people would prefer to play with the automation completely off, that they tell their Sims everything that they have to do in order.
Jesus.
But
Yeah. I
this
turn the
game-
free will all the way up, and if they don't take care of their needs, I get pissed off.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah, I think I like playing where they get to have some amount of freedom to do what they want to do, and then I kind of like choose which goals they're going to fulfill, or maybe some of the bigger things, like if they need to fulfill a goal and they're not doing it, I might make them start reading a book or something so they can fulfill the goal.
Yeah.
But generally they're pretty good about stuff. They don't necessarily always do what you think is the best thing to do, but I think they generally take care of themselves better than old games where they would just
Spam.
But Sims 3, I believe it's a new feature. They have these penalties if you don't fulfill your need, like if you don't beat the timer to get into bed, you suffer with this severe sleep deprivation for 20 hours or some outrageous deficit.
All right.
Yeah.
Negative attributes.
Yeah, if you don't,
right.
if your hygiene goes all the way down, you smell and everybody gets grossed out by you.
I almost drowned to death in the bath because I was so tired and I needed
that's nice.
to raise my hygiene before going to bed. And he's laying in the bath and he falls asleep in the bath and almost drowns.
Are you kidding?
I am not.
I didn't actually. I think. I had something like that happen in the past, but this must be Sims 2. Like, they'll be bathing, but they'll be super tired. But then, like, in the middle of bathing, they'll get up, put their clothes back out on, like, totally calmly, just to get out of the tub, and then they'll just stand there, and then they'll collapse and fall asleep. But, like, they had to get out of the tub to do that whole animation, so are you saying in Sims 3 they actually can fall asleep?
Fell under the water.
Oh, okay. That's, Are you sure it wasn't like just like a little animation for fun, or did like something pop up and say, "Oh, you almost
He
drowned"?
definitely looked like he snapped like awake, like he'd fallen asleep.
What's happened to me in real life?
Yeah,
That's why I take showers.
Oh, showers are cleaner too, but
Yeah.
Is there no bubble bath in Sims 3?
There
I
should
think
be.
there is.
Because there's a wish, take a bubble bath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to do it.
You gotta go buy the
Yeah, you need a fancy tub.
bubbles in
You
the
do.
store.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Then you just set it down next to the tub and you can take a bubble bath.
I'll have to look for that.
I actually forgot like how complicated going out and buying things can be in Sims 3. Like you can actually visit the grocery store and keep your fridge stocked and stuff. And I remember in Sims 2, I was just used to plunking down a refrigerator and being like, "Hey, infinite food, whatever." Now like you can kind of get the same thing if you put down your fridge, but like it'll charge you money for trying to make certain kinds of food without the ingredients already stocked inside of it, so you kind of have an incentive to go to the grocery store.
But it would be cool in real life if you could just like slide a credit card into your
Hell
fridge and like
yeah.
get whatever you want out of it.
That would be amazing.
There is, I would go and get stuff just to start a garden. Like what Anthony was doing, I would find different fruits or whatever, and I would just come across the seeds in order to start a garden, and that ended up taking up a lot of my Sims time as well. And my first playthrough was not only advancing the career, but all the gardening I was doing, and just maintaining the garden. And I think you might be able to, again, like with money, there's the possibility to hire people and take care of all this stuff, but I don't know.
I've never actually tried gardening in The Sims.
Never mind.
I bet it's super cool though. You can actually like sell produce and stuff, right?
Yeah, you can bring it to the store and sell it. It's hard to do because while you're doing it, your hygiene goes down,
Don't you just, in order to plant, you can just plant an apple basically or something?
and yeah,
You just grow an apple tree.
you just get lettuce, and then you can put it in the ground. You get lettuce.
Right.
Yeah. I saw that after I went grocery shopping. Like I tried to click on the fridge and like I kind of missed it, and I think I touched the ground or something. It was like plant cabbage, and I was like, "What? No."
You can actually go into other people's gardens and take their stuff.
Ooh.
You can either harvest their stuff or just take the seeds and then you can have stuff for your own garden. There's a lot of potential stealing.
I do find seeds every once in a while just walking around outside my house.
Yeah.
I just had a sad thought though. for my plan with my current Sims, if the one has 5 kids, how am I going to control the lives of all 5 of those? I'll just have to pick one kid, I guess. That sucks.
You have to play favoritism.
You don't have to control their lives.
I know, but... Well, no, I'll let the other ones go. Jesus, okay, never mind. This is sounding awful.
Speaking of sounding off.
Hi, Taro.
Hi everyone.
I don't know.
Good to see you.
Good to see everyone.
I thought we would have wrapped up by now.
Wait, what time is it?
Okay.
Oh, wow, really? Not bad.
So this is your opportunity to share what you feel about this game before it's too late.
Yeah.
It reminded me of my younger days when I would just sit down on a JRPG and just grind
Yeah.
and grind
Yep.
and grind.
Yep.
And there's a certain zen to that I actually like. I'm one of those weird people that does not mind grinding in JRPG as much as a lot of people seem to complain on the internet. You know, as always, the less there are, usually the better. But there is a certain point where I feel like it's, you know, a game might go too quickly, and I'm not nearly as fond as that. So anyways, actually I liked it. Similar to Spore, I really don't care much for the customization aspect of the game. Outside of perhaps personality traits, which has some actual gameplay elements to it. But other than that, I just thought it was like a very grindy game. And nonetheless, I seem to enjoy specifically the way it presented that grindiness.
Now, did you make a sim version of you?
Sort of.
Oh, okay.
A single father with an adopted daughter,
Aw.
complete with a unibrow.
Sweet. Wait, the daughter or
The father.
Huh. That's pretty rad. Did you just get regular Sims, or did you have any expansion packs?
No, I did not get any expansion packs. I just went with the regular Sims. I actually confess I started off by dropping in a big family and seeing what happens.
Oh.
And I realized family of 5, and I realized very quickly this was not going to do. So I'm like, all right, let's make a new sim and try to play it the way it should be. And
Well, I mean, that's one of the things I started off with was how when I heard about The Sims 3, it was through this blog talking about this homeless family that somebody had created and the struggles that they went through and how they went to different people's houses to try to get by sometimes. And I remember my days of playing The Sims 1 back in the early 2000s, I would create these very difficult households where it was like one parent and tons of kids, like everyone sleeping in the same huge room and like tons of little beds. And, you know, it's not, I was saying how it's not really necessarily a God game, it's more of the difficulties and mundane things in real life, so you can play it the God game style where you get everything you want, but you can also play just to see like very difficult situations also. Where, you know, there's lots of different potential difficult situations people can sort of simulate, which is interesting.
I do see the game's potential for a lot of procedurally generated narrative. It's probably not the term I'm looking for, but one that emerges out of just experience. And I don't know, I guess I'm just not that kind of person when it comes to coming up with random stories like that. To be fair, I did make up like a bunch of stories out of bugs that I discovered in the game. So there is that too. but I don't know. Personally, to me, I didn't feel like that was the main draw of the game. But again, that's just personal taste. I do realize though that that's actually a genuinely cool and neat aspect of the game that I respect.
The bugs.
Yes, that too. I liked it when Sims got very angry at me for telling them to sleep in in this two-person bed, and they kept on complaining that they can't get in there. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's a two-person bed? And I'm like, oh wait, you're supposed to put space on the side of the beds.
Yeah, my first time I plopped down a bed, I put it up in the corner of a wall. And I didn't think that the other one would need to walk around. I figured, get it one way and go over it.
Yeah, like Sims are very fussy when it comes to the placement of things. Which kind of bugged me a little, but for everything the game can do, it's a small complaint.
Yeah, there used to be a lot more. There used to be a lot more lines forming around like bathroom doors in the original Sims, just because the AI wasn't as good at pathfinding. People would just give up and pee on the ground, and
Yup.
you ended up having to put outhouses everywhere.
Yup.
So, I mean, I feel like of all the Sims games, maybe this one feels the most alive. Like it's the most realistic in terms of the world. I guess the direction that I was talking about The Sims 4, they're moving away from that into a more casual experience where there's like less restrictions and like, people move through each other. And
Whoa, what?
it's like, it's not as hard of a game, I guess. It's a lot easier to boost your Sims mood.
Oh.
I guess when this game was originally pitched, I was reading or listening to it. I guess the focus groups didn't really like it. I think originally it was a house creator with autonomous people that would just go around. And I don't think the company executives got it either. They didn't understand what the market was or whether this type of game would do well. So, obviously, The Sims has done really well, but what do people think the reason that this game has succeeded so well, despite being different from a lot of games, a lot of more traditional games? I don't think it's the microtransactions either.
Well, it succeeds at simulating a dollhouse, and it's an animated characters that you can have some influence, but they're going to be something to watch, and there's a story unfolding if you wait long enough. And I think the combination of having this playground in virtual space went really well with developing the Sims as individual characters with personalities and relationships. For me, it was always a pleasure to see how these characters were very realistic. I would walk away from playing for hours and go, I just learned something about myself or about this other character in real life that I've simulated in the game. And one of the things I learned was that I need a lot of fun in my life. Because my character would get disturbed if he wasn't playing a lot. And that was very true to life.
my character has the loner personality, yet there were still times when he was going stir crazy and needed to get out of the house.
From a gameplay perspective, I feel like the game is, in a way, very low risk. And I say that as a bit of a strength, because mind you, I did find that the game gets frantic. I did find that the game does get difficult at times. But when I say, like, if it feels low risk, I mean it's presented in such a way, like, you know, if some sort of disaster happens, it's presented in a comical, you know, this is pretty much just like any sort of sitcom scenario where your light bulbs goes out and you're like, you'll have a whole family fight about figuring out who is going to get the light bulb when, you know, it could be as easy as just a dad walking out and calling it a day, that kind of stuff. So, in a way, the risk in that game feels very on the contrary, it feels less of a risk and more like you might as well try to see what things happen.
Unless you try to fix a microwave.
Huh?
Yeah, don't fix the microwave, man. Don't do
I
it.
tried to upgrade my microwave, and I got electrocuted and died, and the Grim Reaper showed up to try to get me.
I see. So, I mean, like, that sounds close enough to a Sunday cartoon. So, and I do feel like there's a genuine draw to that, because we're like the economy in the game is pretty tight. I thought, and you know, it throws in a couple of loops at you, whether it be electrocuting yourself on a microwave like scenario. It throws in enough loops at you to feel interesting enough, random enough that it's not always predictable. Unlike, you know, trying to play the stock market game or something like that, because I did feel like this game was very numbers heavy, and nonetheless, I enjoyed it for what it was. It feels very gamey to me, honestly, despite a lot of people talking about like how Sims kind of started off the casual genre, so to speak. I mean, Sims was far from the first one to start that trend, mind you. But it's you know, it's one of the many well-cited sources of that trend, and I guess I shouldn't comment too much about whether it's a casual game or not. But what I would argue is that it very much feels to me like a very thoroughly thought out, very thoroughly balanced game that really attempted to kind of figure out what the best numbers were and how to best provide you the maximum amount of enjoyment with it.
Anyone realize that you had to pay your bills?
Yeah.
Yup.
No, I didn't. I kept looking for my mailbox saying, is there a bill now? Is there a bill now?
I did the same thing, but I was also looking for my books to come in the mail.
They take your stuff if you don't pay your bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Repo comes with the ray gun.
Oh boy.
That's one of the things you learn in The Sims is you gotta keep checking the mail for bills, and
Recycling the newspapers.
Yes.
you have to. You should install a burglar alarm.
Yeah.
That's how I met my girlfriend.
And a smoke detector.
Smoke detector, very important.
You got that. Actually, my first playthrough when I had the husband and wife, she was making breakfast and her ride to her job showed up, so she just left the food on the stove and ran off to get in the car. And it suddenly engulfed the counter, and my character was currently sleeping at the time, so I had to get him out of bed. And instead of thinking I should call the fire department, I'm over there trying to put it out myself. waving some kind of thing at it. And finally, I was like, okay, I need to call somebody.
Did you call somebody?
Yeah. The fireman showed up and he put it out and he charged me for it.
Yeah.
So there's a nice way of working the system.
Yeah, you learn how to juggle your resources in The Sims. I actually, I remember one of the first times I was playing, I made a big family and I thought I could handle it, and this was before I was like really even used to playing with like 2 or 3 Sims. I made like a big family of 7. I remember, I'm starting to remember it now. It went disastrously. This was when I was younger, and I was like, okay, never doing that again. But I guess over time, I've slowly built myself up to that. Like, I don't know. I'm just, you guys don't play with too many people in the household, I guess.
I tried. I had exactly the same experience.
Yeah. I guess it's actually like a little bit of something you gotta learn over time. But I'm actually, I can be pretty okay at juggling a lot of Sims. So I didn't realize that was a thing until just now, maybe. So, hey, I have Sim skills. Hey.
Multitasker.
Yeah.
That's a very important financial skill to have.
Put on my resume. Can manage a household of upwards of 5 Sims.
Ain't that the truth?
Has anyone done the horrible trying to kill your Sims thing?
Yeah.
Intentionally.
I did try to leave the baby on the floor for as long as I can. Because I'm that kind of person.
Sorry to hear that.
I just wanted to know.
Sometimes when I was younger, for the sake of drama, I'd have a Sim die. But I was never very comfortable with just killing them off. My stepsister and my brother liked to just kill them. That's what my brother did whenever he played The Sims. He would just put somebody in a house and fill it with flammable stuff and just set them on fire. He rarely ever played the game straight up.
I have a lot of respect for him.
I think this was The Sims 4, but one of the more disturbing things I saw was this guy was playing, and I don't know, he got some woman's kid somehow.
Oh no.
He married her, got the kid in the house, and then he walled him into this room, and he put windows. So he was just he had everything he needed in the room, but he couldn't leave.
Oh no!
So he just trapped some kid in the room, and then he added glass windows to the outside so everyone could see from the outside.
Oh no!
It was this weird,
It's creepy.
creepy thing he was trying to do. And the Sims don't know any better because they don't know
Well, yeah.
It was just the way he was describing it, this room with glass walls that you could watch the kid with his little computer, and he would slowly start taking things away, like the toilet. And
Oh
it was just pretty weird.
no! Yeah, there's definitely some. You can get a lot of bizarre wish fulfillment out of this game, I think. But that's kind of always been the nature of it.
Yeah, people can do weird stuff, but I don't think I normally do anything that crazy. I just do what the game seemed to want me to do,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part.
Has
Yeah.
there been a discussion about live blogs or even live streams of just people narrating and trying to come up with a story about how their Sims lived? Because I recall that was a big thing, at least with the first 2 Sims. I don't recall if the 3 and 4 spawned that kind of popularity, but people would kind of post on daily on a Tumblr blog about what their Sims did and what kind of story and life that they led. Sometimes money. Sometimes some of them are morbid, while the others are like incredibly mundane, that kind of stuff.
Mira's date with Jessica did not go well. Face.
I think
She
like
bought a cat.
Which got electrocuted by the microwave.
I think like that's incredible that it's able to have that sort of emergent narrative. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Not procedural generated story, but yeah, that to have the emergent narrative and to be popular to a point where people are literally writing commentary about it.
Yeah, it's kind of fun sometimes to go online and see people just ramble on about all the different Sims they've had sometimes. There are some really fun stories. It's its own little world. It's very, very cool.
Well, when Jamie played during the Extra Life, and he was complaining that his sim kept reading this children's book, Where's Bella?
Oh.
And so I was playing my game, and my character was a reader, and she started reading Where's Bella, so I took a screenshot and sent it on Facebook so Jamie could see that even my character was reading that same book.
I think my sim has that book as well.
Yeah.
My guys don't like reading Where's Bella, but they like the Fantastic Adventures of Raymundo.
I think I have that. Oh.
At least the one brother does. Then the other guy is always carrying around a copy of like a dangerous or like a magnetic attraction or something, or a magnetic romance in his pocket. So
I was thinking, I think if you do achieve your lifelong dream, it just gives you a whole bunch of those experience points that you can spend on different abilities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the way the game works, it seems, is it gives you these goals that you can achieve, give you the points, but they just keep popping up all the time. So it never really feels like if I read a certain amount of books as a goal, then there'll just be another goal that'll pop up. So I want to read even more books.
Mm-hmm.
There's a trophy for doing 1,000 of those wishes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
So there's always going to be more wishes that people have.
It's like life, right?
Which is why I think it kind of brings the question, why do any of this? What's the point?
Is it possible to do nothing?
Well, I don't, unless you turn off, the Sims will always try to do stuff. I don't think they'll necessarily start a career or anything complicated that would require your input. But,
Well, you can force them to do nothing by taking away everything and stick them in a room that has no space whatsoever.
Not let them get out.
Then they'll get hungry, they'll complain,
Very
they'll
small
cry.
room, no walking.
I think in this game, since it's an open world, they could, if you didn't put anything on your lot, they could potentially go to someone else's house or
Yeah.
somewhere else.
You'll find a bed.
Like, you could actually make a... How did that homeless Sims family work? Did they just put them on a lot and then, like, not buy anything for them and just have them...
One was young enough that she went to school, so she, I think, got food at school, and the other guy, I don't know how he got food. He went into people's houses or talked to people and tried to get into their house. I mean, they both kind of tried to make friends and live at people's houses a bit and got kicked out. So, I mean, the game is not... I mean, the first game, since you just had your own home lot and you couldn't leave, it was a lot easier to trap them and not give them what they need to survive. But given that there's a whole town in The Sims 3, it's kind of hard to keep them away from the stuff that they want to do.
Right.
But some of it costs money, so I mean, if you run out of money...
But if your neighbor has a swimming pool and you don't, and your character wants to go swimming, they'll go into the neighbor's house
they can get
in Sims 3.
Yeah.
But, I mean, sometimes you try to go into someone's house and it tells you they're not home. description code in there. But yeah, this. I mean, you could play without having a job, or like you were mentioning the farming thing.
Mm-hmm.
I could see try to live off the grid maybe. It's a possibility.
Actually, the one time I played Sims 3 before this, and I think it was like a year ago, I built like an underground bunker type house. It's just multiple basement levels. I had,
That sounds
Yeah.
awesome.
it was fun. I had 2 gals living there, and everything they needed was underground. I was like, yeah, preparing for the apocalypse. I was gonna make a whole neighborhood of like subterranean houses, actually, and no official addresses or like mailboxes or anything, just people chilling.
Underground requires electricity. Right? It's not off the grid, but yeah.
Oh,
I was just thinking of how they make money. I mean, you can probably make money doing stuff in your house too. You know?
painting or writing. You don't ever have to leave the house to do those.
Mm-hmm.
Proof.
You can order pizza, I guess.
Right in your fridge.
There's this one post online where somebody talks about in The Sims, they made like a regular family, and then they took one family member and just like made them an extreme introvert and like maxed out all their like creativity skills and just locked them in a basement and had them paint paintings all the time. And they got so good at it, they just made masterpieces that they could sell for tons of money, and that's how the entire family lived. Look it up, it's like the post is called like Art Troll or something. They were like, yeah, I just keep this little art troll in the basement, keeping the whole family fed. It's twisted, but it's kind of a strategy. It works.
Has anyone commented about the fact that the actions can change based off of the personality trait?
Well, I was talking a little about the likelihood that 2 characters I've been trying to make friends are probably incompatible just because of their personalities. I give them enough time, I give them enough interaction to grow their relationship, but it just doesn't end up being a friendship.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I was kind of curious because first off, if you put ambitious as your personality trait, then everything becomes an extreme sleeping, extreme napping.
Okay?
Oh, no, it's Daredevil.
Oh, Daredevil?
Yeah.
I see. So I was just curious, like, how many of those were there that I haven't noticed yet?
There's a lot.
I don't know. Some of that's just doesn't have a big impact on your game. But
No, it was just comedy for comedy's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, some things will like open up if you're like more outgoing. You might have more social options, things like that. Or if you're more evil, you'll have more evil options that will pop up. And you'll see like a little evil symbol
Yeah.
next to it, so you know it's like a special thing that you can do because you're evil.
I'm gonna have to make one of those kids. I'm gonna have to make one of those kids properly evil. Maybe rainy day.
Make sure it's a baby.
An evil baby. Oh, the babies.
Family Guy was able to pull it off.
Yeah, but babies can't actually do anything in this game. They're boring.
They can wake you up.
That's exactly why making Evil One is perfect. Nobody suspects it.
Starting to sound like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. All right.
I think the console one might have multiplayer, but
How does that work? Like 2 controllers? Oh God. Oh.
I'm not positive. I know the one I was playing with the herbs had a split screen.
It's weird. That's cool, but it's hard for me to wrap my mind around.
Yeah, I can't remember on the startup screen if it has it or not.
Has anyone downloaded anyone else's creations or characters yet?
No.
And I couldn't because I just couldn't log in for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, for the PC, you have to log into the Sims 3 website using your EA account, and then you can share and download. I've put myself up there along with one other creation, but you can share entire lots as well. If you make like a family in a house, you can share the whole thing, but then somebody has to put that whole lot into their game. But I mean, there's lots of stuff on the website that people have made from different clothing patterns and stuff. Most of the stuff you can make yourself. It's just interesting, like, I think it would be fun to have a game where all your friends were characters living in the same world that you could interact with. I only ever had, like, a couple friends who played the game, so I had a couple of my friends in my world, but yeah, I think The Sims 4, like I said, did a better job with social and the integrated online stuff, but it just is not as complete a game as The Sims 3 in terms of the realism and the depth of it. So.
If that's the case, I probably won't get Sims 4. Because I'd rather have a really rich solo gaming experience than like a night and then like, goodish average multi-person gaming experience,
It's still single player, it's just it's easier to download other people's games. But if you like making your own stuff, you can do that in pretty much any Sims game. Let's see if anyone had any final thoughts about The Sims in general, and if you might continue playing in the future different versions, or if this is going to be it for you. What do you think, Anthony?
I would like to play The Sims 3 a little more than I did, but things were distracting for me. I just couldn't muster the will to do much of anything in recent days because of recent events. So hopefully, during happier times, I'll be able to play and have some fun.
Like the herbs?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm still looking forward to allowing my sim who is graduating from high school to go to college with university expansion. When my daughter is able to spend several hours with me, as she is considering colleges in real life, and I want to use this as a model to discuss some things, because she tends to shy away from any talk about her future.
I like the music. Actually, so will I go back to the game? Probably. I like that it is a complex system. I mentioned in a podcast earlier that my favorite part of Spore was actually the last final space exploration part that a lot of people did not like. Mm-hmm. It was ironically the part that I liked the most because of the complexity of the systems behind that stage. And I get the same appeal, the same sort of fun out of playing Sims 3 as I do with the last stage of Spore. So personally, I feel like it's much better fleshed out, and I definitely like the experience that I've had. I mean, it's to a point where like I've lost track of time, and it's been a while since I've had a game that actually does that. So, lots of props to that game. I really do see the appeal of it. Well, so who knows what happens with my family of just roll the random die and call it a day. But I did enjoy it for what it was, and I do see myself playing it again just to see what happens, to see if how many more systems, how many more variables there are in the game that I can adjust and control.
To actually comment on your comment on the music, I liked what they did with the music. I got myself a nice stereo. I turned on the indie station, and I'm noticing one of the songs sounds really familiar to me, and I'm like, what the heck is this? So I pull out my phone, I turn on SoundHound, and I put the microphone up to it, and it's a Crash King song, and I'm like, they actually Simlanese or whatever the language they use, real songs, and put that in there. I thought that was really, really cool. So that little anecdote on your music thing. But I'm going to stick around playing it. I've invested probably 3 in-game months into trying to amass this fortune.
And living the dream.
just to being by selling books, writing and selling books without getting an actual job, so that I can buy a really big lot and hopefully build Spencer Mansion. But I don't see that happening. But I mean, I put a lot of work into this, and I want to see where it ends up. Especially considering I have a lot of trophies still that I need to unlock. Interesting anecdote about the trophies. So I was going for the Woohoo trophy. And, I chose to do that. And after they're done, they're lying there in the bed. And I clicked on the bed, and there was a few options that showed up. And one of them was cuddle in bed. I chose cuddle in bed. That did not happen. She got out of bed and got on the computer. And I said, really? Come on.
You won't even stay to cuddle.
Exactly. I'm like, what? But yeah, so I still have a lot of trophies to go. I want to see where things progress with this cop girl I'm dating, and so I'm probably gonna stick around with it for a while.
I'm pretty invested again at this point, and especially with all the expansions like Supernatural. I'll be able to have fairy people and like witches. I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be so cool. I had an alien over for a house party just before I got here, so that was awesome. I didn't actually think he would. I invited him. I didn't think he'd show up, but he did. So that was great.
The way you say this as if it's happening in real life is quite satisfying.
I wish.
I didn't mean it that way.
No, I mean, that'd be rad, but no, anyway. I'm looking forward into building the Day family legacy, seeing where it goes.
Sweet.
Yeah, I own a lot of different Sims games, and I throw them in from time to time, although I don't seem to... I do spend the most of my time playing Sims games, and not just the Sims series, any simulation game. I spend more hours in those games than any other game I play. So games like Kerbal Space Program, Spore, all these creating type games where you can see what happens. This one, I'm definitely going to... I don't usually stick to necessarily one. I'll try the original game just to see what that was like, even though that's very dated at this point. It's like 800 by 600 resolution and all that. Although I think it goes up to 1024, but we'll see. And, just checking out the different games, because like The Sims 4 is different. Every Sims games has differences in them. And like the herbs, which is kind of like one of those diamonds in the rough that is only on a couple systems and most people don't know about. I like to go back to that because I enjoy that game as well. Even though it's sometimes hard to go back to older games when their graphics are more clunky or it's like older tech. But The Sims 3 is still pretty modern, so it holds up well. But you wanted to say something before?
No, it was a comment about old games.
I mean, it's old. I will say it's more like old 3D games where the resolution isn't just not there. The frame rate is really suffering and stuff like that. It can be tough to get into those sometimes when you've been exposed to beautiful games. I wanted to leave you with one story. I was watching a Twitch stream, and the guy was playing The Sims 4. He was playing as this sad clown character, and he was in like a party and he was trying to make friends or trying to get with this girl, and it just wasn't happening.
You all right over there?
Maybe he was just living at home, and the girl who lived at home didn't like him. So he was sad, and he's eating ice cream, and the guy was just singing this song about him, and I was laughing hilariously because it was just a funny scene, seeing this like sad clown guy eating ice cream and like crying by himself. And I thought only in The Sims can something like this happen. And like all these other weird stories that people can do. And part of it was the guy who was playing and how he was like singing a song to this guy, the sad clown.
That needs to be an emoji.
But it was just the way people can sort of create the stories, and also, the game does some of it, but then, he created the character, and then he like created the song out of it, and it was just, it's cool what people can do with games sometimes, and they give the flexibility there to tell the sad story of a clown.
Being rejected by a girl.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why ice cream is great. It never rejects anyone. Unless you're lactose intolerant.
It was just a funny situation. And, I don't know. It's not always about the achievements of people don't always want to hear about, oh, I became president, blah, blah, blah. I want to hear about how your character died or sad things that happen in the game. Sometimes it's the best stories. Which brings me right back to that homeless couple. But I'll probably recommend checking out Alice and Kev. It's a 60 it's a blog. It's 60 entries long about a homeless couple in The Sims 3. And it became pretty famous, so check it out if you haven't seen it yet. And anyone else want to say something about The Sims before we go?
Sims backward is Smiths.
What?
For December, since everyone will be busy for the holidays, we had the TVGS members select 3 short games to play. Little Infernal, Uncle Who Works for Nintendo, Nights into Dreams Christmas Nights, and an optional bonus, Save the Date. So come December to our game club or listen for the next podcast.